capitalism needed to steal things in order to come into fruition. If you're talking about a whole class of the bourgeoisie, where are they going to get that injection? They get that from stealing. It's called primitive accumulation, and it's something that has been at the beginning of every new economic system. In this case, took the form of stealing land and stealing labor. They tried to do that at first with mainly white working class folks, and they realized the problem that they were having because they needed white working class folks for other forms of labor. They needed to figure out a way that that white working class would be able to feel safe in their being. At this time, we're talking about Europe. Africa was the answer. They stole minerals as well, not just land from here, but minerals from Africa and labor from Africa. They started stealing people from Africa, bringing them here, and to explain why this was different, why this was not endangering the white working class. They had to say, well, look, these are a different group of people. These are not even people. We wouldn't even do this to you. And at the time, they could say Irish were different groups of people too, because Irish were not considered white yet. The theory of race was invented to justify slavery. Now, before that, they talked about things in nations. It's not like there weren't wars or people didn't hate other people before that, but it was always talked about in terms of nations. It was nations, and sometimes there'd be descriptions of people, but the idea that this nation and that nation were related because they looked the same was not one that existed. So this idea of race was put forward to justify slavery and to say, look, these are a lower form of being. You should not feel united with them. This is not your problem. This is that. So there was a need for racism. Similarly, now there's the same need, right? Because stereotypes about black folks are used to explain to the white working class that poverty is the cause of people making their own bad choices, as opposed to poverty being necessitated by capitalism. The truth is, you cannot have capitalism without poverty. It needs it. You cannot have capitalism without unemployment. If there was full employment, 100% employment, no one could get fired because there'd be no one to replace them. Even furthermore, if you had 100% employment, people that work someplace could just demand higher wages without even having a union struggle. They need the army of unemployed workers to keep wages down. And now, to explain poverty to people in a way that's not systematic, they need to put a behavioral pattern on poverty. One way to do that is to say, look at these others. Look what they do. This is what keeps them poor. When even white workers look at themselves as being poor, they look at themselves in terms of not wanting to act like black folks, not wanting to put this poverty on themselves, and it keeps folks divided. There's a necessity for racist stereotypes and for racism in capitalism. It will keep being generated as long as there's a necessity for it. I think that culture comes out of the way that we survive. Not only I think that, but a lot of folks think that. You have a fishing village, you're going to have fishing songs. You have an agricultural village, you're going to have agricultural songs. The racist culture that we have is necessitated by capitalism. We won't get rid of that racist culture until we get rid of capitalism. And it's going to take the whole working class in order to do that.